Hello guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to determine if the problem that you guys are having has something to do with the furnace or with the thermostat. And I have written here what we're going to be going over. So we're going to be going over the wiring on the thermostat and the furnace, over the breaker box, power switch, fuse, furnace tamper cover, and the thermocouple. The wires were supposed to be right here in the perspective spots, but I went ahead and I pull it out. So if you see right here on the next page, I have the W, which is the heat, is a white one. The R is the power for heat and cooling, and it is a red one. The G is a fan, and it is a green one. And the Y is the cool, and it is a yellow wire. Also, if you notice right over here where it says RH and RC, there is a little jumper. The purpose of the jumper is to transfer power from the heat to the cool. So RC means R cool and RH means R heat. If the jumper is not there and you have the red on one of the R's, then it's not going to supply power to the cool or the heating. Alright, so if I want to test for AC, I'm going to go ahead and put the Y, which is the cool, the G, which is the fan, and then my power. These three together. If I'm going to test for heating, then I'm going to do the white, which is the heat, the red, which is the power, and then my fan. So let's go ahead and do that really quick and see what happens, okay? Now you can hear my furnace coming on. If I go ahead and disconnect the wires, my furnace is going to stop. Okay? Alright, these same wires that we have over here, whatever you connected here, should match what you have a thermostat. So if I'm putting the green on the G, my green on the thermostat and the furnace should be the same. So let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, so let's go ahead and open my furnace. Alright, so now my furnace is open. Like I said, the same wires I have at the furnace should match what I have down there. Okay. Here is the power switch. So I have the on and the off. What this does is that it kills the power to the furnace. It does pretty much the same thing that a switch that you will use to turn a light on and off. So right now it is on. If you ever go to a service call and you notice that the furnace is not getting power but the breaker is on, you go ahead and take a look at that, and that's probably the problem. Let's go ahead and take a look at my power box, breaker box right here. I got my two spots for the AC, and I also have the furnace, the breaker for the furnace. So I need to make sure that these ones are not tripped and that they're good on the on position. Now if you're ever going to work on the furnace and work on the motherboard and all that, make sure that they're off. The next step will be the fuse. There is a fuse down here. It's a 3 amps fuse. It's pink. A good way to tell if it's burned or if it's good, it's to pull it out. You pull it out and then you can look through it and you can see a little wire. If the wire is burned, that means that it is not conducting electricity from one side to the other. And the purpose of the fuse is to protect the furnace. So if you have an issue, this little wire right here is gonna burn and it's gonna disconnect the two ports, and then it's not gonna run power through the motherboard. You can also use this little tool right here to check for continuity. So I'm gonna go ahead and put one of the ends and then I'm gonna go ahead and connect it, and you can see that it is conducting power from one side to the other. That means that the fuse is good. So let's go ahead and put it back where it goes. Okay, you can get those fuses anywhere, Walmart, Radio Shack, any auto parts like AutoZone stores, and they're pretty cheap too. One of the things also that we need to cover is tamper switch. So when I put my cover, it is gonna press on this, and it is gonna supply power to my motherboard. When I remove the cover, it's gonna kill the power. So right now I don't have the cover, so there is no power running here. If I push it, you can see the light coming on. If I let go, it turns off. Okay, so if you're ever running and working on the furnace and you're gonna test it, make sure that this is being pressed. Otherwise, it's not gonna do anything. And the last thing that we need to cover is what's called the thermocouple. This right here are the burners. So there is gas coming from here. This is my gas. Comes in, and then it goes into my furnace through here. My thermocouple is that piece of metal that you see right here at the end, all the way at the end. That's the thermocouple, that piece of metal right there. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out and show you guys what it looks like. Here's my thermocouple. Purpose of the thermocouple is to detect when there is a flame. If for whatever reason I shut off the bulb and there is no gas going into the furnace, this is gonna detect that there is no flame, and it's gonna turn the furnace off to prevent CO poisoning, pretty much. And if this piece of wire is dirty, you could go ahead and get a sand file, sandpaper, and you can clean it and make sure that it would show some of the metal, not the burn but the metal, so it will detect when there is a flame. Okay, this is pretty cheap too, and it is good to service this either by cleaning it or replacing it at least once a year. A good way to tell if you're having issues with this is that you turn the furnace on, so the heater is going to come on, and then it's going to run for like 10 seconds, and then it's going to stop. And then it's going to try it again. It's going to try the whole cycle. It's going to turn on, and then it's going to turn off. Okay? So if you're having that issue, this is the problem. So let's go ahead and put it back in. And make sure that it is facing my burners. Alright, let's go ahead and put the cover on. Now my tamper is impressed. Let's go ahead and run the furnace. See what happens. So since I'm gonna be testing for heating, I'm gonna be using the green, which is the fan. I'm gonna be using the white, which is the heat, and also my R, which is the power to the furnace. So let's go ahead and put those three together. Let's go to my furnace. So I got my fan working. So if you go to any vent, you're gonna feel air. It's gonna be kind of cool air, It's not going to be hot because there is no fire, there's no flame. So this is going to take a second or two. Now I got my flame, and if you see the thermocouple is right in front of the flame to detect the flame. Okay? So now the furnace is getting all the heat on my fan right over here, is pushing the hot air throughout the house. So if I follow all these steps and everything is working, then my problem is the thermostat. You go ahead and replace the thermostat and everything should work just fine, because right now I'm doing a manual test and everything is working. If I go ahead and I come over here and I let go of the wires and I go back to the furnace, you can see that my fan is still running. The reason why is because it's finishing up pushing the hot air throughout the house. Alright, if you guys have any questions, please let me know.